Hi there, it's Hannah Tiffin, and I am starting a video documentary of my life in the light of the interventions of Christ within it. And some of you know me as somebody who speaks on human trafficking, abuse, neglect, recovery, um, literacy, that kind of stuff. But very few people have been brought into my inner confidence where I talk about the interventions of Christ in my life. It's a newer topic for me. It was about 4 years ago that Jesus came to me personally and intervened in a formal way. And so I thought those stories were the stories that were important, and they are, but I'm always looking for a way to how my life is relatable to others. And so I'm writing a sermon right now. It's basically interventions of Christ. I thought I was going to be speaking about the dream, the waking dream, where he presented himself to me the first time and what he said and that kind of thing. Um, so that's what I was going with until I was guided to think about a situation that occurred when I was 16 and to the revelation that Christ has been intervening and carrying me my whole life, even when I felt the most abandoned, even when I was the most vicious to him. I wasn't raised in a home where Jesus was a topic. I didn't go to church. And in fact, I made a mockery of Jesus most of my life. But that didn't stop him from loving and protecting me. And so here's the story that I today feel is a very powerful testimony to the interventions in my life of Christ. And I want you, hopefully, to consider what interventions you've had that maybe didn't look like what you think it maybe was. Um, so, when I was 16, I was living in Ocean City, 1993, with friends, and we were working as carnies, doing all the things you would think that 16-year-old runaways do. Or I guess I was an adult or whatever at that point, but it wasn't good. We were working as carnies. We were drugging, partying, all that. On the shore, the coast, there's a hurricane season. It was hurricane season, and Hurricane Emily was offshore and coming in the next 12 hours. And so everything was evacuated. The city was pretty silent. All the buildings have been boarded up and braced for this hurricane. Um, it was gaining steam, and it was ended up being a Category 2 hurricane at 158-mile-an-hour winds, and we decided to go body surfing. We It was night. We decided we were going to head down to the ocean. We were going to go body surfing, and I got to the shoreline, and I remember stepping in, and the water was about ankle deep, and it was actually ripping the sand out from under my feet about a foot, and pushing me back, pushing me back. It was like the ocean didn't want me to go in. It was the wildest waves I've ever seen. It was thunderous. It was so loud, and it was just a violent sea. And well, we were sure we were going to go body surfing, and as 16-year-old kids do, we threw caution to the wind and all signs of danger aside, and we rushed the water. And the first set of waves coming in was about waist deep. That wasn't suitable for body surfing. We went out to the next shelves of waves, which was about neck deep. And well, friends and I decided we should go out deeper. And so I ended up going out to the next shelf of waves. How I even got out there, I don't know. It wasn't easy, but got out there, and the wave, I'm guessing it was probably 3 or 4 foot deeper than I was tall. I couldn't touch. The wave came. I have no idea where my friends went. And the waves came. I got pulled up in a wave, and I thought I was going to go over and surf my way towards the shoreline. Well, it didn't work out that way. What happened was the wave picked me up, and and like the ocean would be here, right? And so the wave would come. I was on the top of that, and I thought I was going to go towards the shore like this, but I didn't. I went up, over, and down, and I ended up um, getting pulled under the ocean's surface. And um, it was so loud under the ocean, just violent under there. And I was being just rolled over and over and over myself. And I have no idea how long I rolled for, but I ended up hitting the ocean's bottom, the sand on the bottom of the ocean floor, and I hit the back of my neck, and it was so painful that like there was a shot of white light. It was that painful, and I thought, oh my God, I broke my neck. And right after I had that thought, more agonizing pain came, and it was from my neck down to my rear end. Had gotten dragged on the sand, and it cut my back open. And I was still rolling at this time under the oceans, and the noise and the pain and the burning of my back and all this, and I knew I was bleeding. And I thought, I'm going to die. This is it. And then all of a sudden, the noise of the ocean went away, and it was silent. And I wasn't rolling anymore. And I started struggling, trying to decide how to get to the top, to the surface. I remember I looked up, and it was black. And then I looked down and seen all blackness. And I knew that I had no way of knowing which way to swim. And I was scared because I was like, I started to panic, and I had water. I mean, I don't know. I was panicking, and I heard a voice say, "Stop struggling. Be still." I didn't. I kept panicking. And then I heard a very loud, thunderous surrender. And I went limp, and I started floating upwards. And it was silent darkness around me. And I got to the surface of the ocean, and I took a breath. I didn't gasp or cough up water, and I know that I felt water going into my nose and into my mouth when I was tumbling. I could feel water like actually going into my body forcefully. Um, but even when I was told to surrender, it's like I didn't breathe, but I was breathing. When I got to the surface of the water, I took a breath. Nothing dramatic, just a breath. And I looked up, and I saw stars. And I looked out, trying to see where I was, and I could see the lights of the Princess Royal Hotel, which was a mile and a half off the shore. And I remember looking at it, feeling defeated, and I was thinking, I'm never going to make it that far. I can't swim that far. And my back was burning, and I was thinking, I'm out here, and I'm bleeding, and they're feeding sharks. They're baiting sharks on the pier not too far from where I was, and I knew there were sharks in the water, and they were feeding. And I remember thinking, this is it. This has to be it for me. And I rolled over on my back, and the ocean was still. It was like being in bath water. It was still and warm and silent. And I filled with a feeling of peace, love, and acceptance. And I said, well, Lord, if it be it, okay. And then I said, in typical Hannah fashion, I decided to tell the Lord that I would be accepting of this death. I was in peace and love, but let's just have a shark bite me in half, because I felt like the shock of that would be so stunning that I wouldn't realize the pain and agony of it, and I would just die. I knew that drowning would be a painful death. That happened to a friend of mine the summer before, and I didn't want to go that way. So I said, okay, Lord, I'm ready to go. And I just treaded water and waited for a shark to bite me in half. And the shark didn't come. And I was pissed. I was pissed right off. I was mad. I was like, are you serious? I made peace. There's been peace. And yeah, I was ready to go. And I'm not, and it's not going to happen. And I remember going, well, I'm not going to die this way. And I started swimming. I started swimming for the lights of the Princess Royal Hotel. And the ocean was calm. And then I don't remember the swim. From making the choice to getting to shore, I have no recollection. It's as if God himself picked me up and placed me on the shoreline. I got to the shore and I was almost like startled. Lots of noise again, all kinds of traumatic wave crashing, pulling me back in, so fighting for my life to get onto shore in knee-deep water. In shallow water, I'm going to drown in shallow water. I survived a riptide, a blow to the neck, having my back ripped open, not getting bit by a shark, not drowning, and now I'm going to die in shallow water. But I didn't. I was carried to shore. And I collapsed on the shore, and I was found sometime later, and I was okay. Um, this is one intervention of many in my life, and I'm sad but very excited to know that that was Jesus working in my life. And I'm telling you this, and I'm sharing these things with you because I wonder how much we overlook as people. Like, I was a street child. I was sold to people. I was abused. I was a drug addict. I was a horrible person. And God loved me enough to stop a hurricane, silence an ocean, and make it spit me out because I had more work to do. How I could have overlooked such divine intervention, I don't know. It's taken 20 years for me to see this for what it was, and there's so much more to it. But I mean, I could keep you all day with the details. But most importantly, I want you to know that you are special. You have not been abandoned. It doesn't always look like what you think it should. You are special, and our God is a mighty God. And you are a mighty human being, and you are special, and you are loved, and you have had intervention. What interventions have you had?